Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Analyst for Digital Transformation here at Cognizant, and I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm excited. This is part of a new series that we started earlier this week called Digital Transformation Expert Interviews. You know, I have a long-running series that covers kind of enterprise mobility and all things mobility. This is about digital transformation, almost a higher level topic that we're talking about here on what's actually changing because of these transformations. And so for that reason, I'm very excited today to have as our guest Adithya Sastry, who's the General Manager and Venture Lead for Cloud 360. Now, we all know cloud computing is huge today. And so I wanted to bring an expert and really share with us where the transformation, the digital transformation is happening across just about all industries. What role is cloud computing playing in that? So Adithya, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Kevin, thank you for having me. Glad to be on and have this discussion with you. Looking forward to it. Yeah.
All right. So where are you calling from today?
I'm actually in Chicago, Illinois, and it's bright and sunny for a change.
All right. I looked at the news today and it said that almost no planes are coming in and out of Chicago this morning.
That's right. There was a fire at the FAA building, so a lot of unhappy people.
Well, it's our good fortune and your good fortune that you're at your home office today.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So Adithya, again, thank you for joining us. And as this is part of what we call the Digital Transformation Expert Interview Series, the first question we ought to ask is, what makes you a digital transformation expert?
You know, that's a great question, Kevin. So let me kind of take a step back and tell you a little bit about my background, right? So I don't come from the IT services industry. So I actually come from a products background, having worked for GE, NCR, and IBM. You know, my background's been around delivering products and solutions to, you know, our customers, right? And if you look at the products that I've managed and solutions I've taken to market over the course of my, 16 to 18 years career, it's been across the spectrum: financial services, security, physical security, as well as other semiconductor products as well. So the crux of this is really ultimately what drives, whether it's from an operational standpoint, what drives operational efficiencies, or from a go-to-market standpoint, everything revolves around data, right? And the sources of data can come from multiple areas, right? And the channels through which the data comes from, again, multiple areas, right? So how do you bring all these data sources and data channels into one kind of underlying overarching umbrella, if you will? And that's where the cloud practice comes in, right? So to have a good digital transformation strategy and to execute on the strategy, you have to really, enterprises really have to start looking at how do we leverage cloud to bring all the pieces of the puzzle together and help us better serve our customers, as well as drive efficiencies within the way we operate our businesses.
So it almost sounds like what in the old days anyway, we called the enterprise application integration environment, where you could, you would have a kind of a backbone that you would bring in and plug all the different applications in and try to normalize data across those so the data means the same thing across the whole enterprise.
Right.
Is that the same? Is this just a new version of that in the digital, as a result of digital transformation?
Yes and no. And the reason I say yes and no is if you from a really simplistic view, yes, it is that. But when you talk about the old way of doing things, right? Everybody talks about on-premise, right? So on-premise requires capital investment that an enterprise makes, and then you cannot back out of it because you've made the investment, you've got to use it, or if you don't use it, it's still there. You still invested, it's sunk cost. The benefit of cloud is the ability to scale up and try new things and scale down in a very, very rapid manner, right? So that's where the flexibility of cloud comes in, which really didn't exist previously.
So talk to us about, you in your role there as venture leader, and within the Cognizant world, ventures are what we see as very promising new areas of technology. You're leading this whole venture around the Cloud 360. What prompted you to, and what opportunities did you see out there in the market that prompted you to want to be a venture leader in this area? And I think we can almost add that question to a second question, which is, what are you seeing in the marketplace? What are the trends that you're seeing right now around cloud computing?
Yeah. Both great questions. And I'll tell you the same answer I tell my team, right? So when Frank and others talked to me about taking on this leadership role, I told them it was the next best thing to winning the lottery, right? Literally, because I'm in this beautiful area, cloud computing, with a lot of buzz, a lot of mind share. But if you look at it, it's still in its infancy in terms of where the whole opportunity that lies ahead, right? So I manage the Cloud 360 platform, which is basically, if you look at enterprises today, right? Most enterprises have a combination of applications or data running on-premise. Some are running in the public cloud, and some are running in private cloud, right? So today, a way an enterprise stakeholder looks at that is goes through each service provider's dashboard, cockpit, user interface, whatever you want to call it, and has to manage their environments from separate, application interfaces. Whereas the beauty about Cloud 360 is regardless of what service provider you use in the back, regardless of what private cloud you have, regardless of what hybrid environment you have, you control everything through a single pane of glass, right? So it really, from a usability standpoint, provisioning, orchestrating, managing your cloud environment, you're looking at one dashboard.
Very good. So share with us, Adithya, what are the trends that are driving people to adopt cloud computing?
Yeah, so if you look at it, it's been very different in different verticals, right? So if you look at financial and healthcare, for example, highly regulated, a lot of compliance issues, they're a little bit more cautious in terms of how they leverage cloud to not only for the internal enterprise applications, but for also some of the applications that they're taking to market from a solution standpoint. So they're kind of being very cautious, and they're looking at initially just kind of non-production type environments, low risk, applications, just because they want to get over that hurdle and have that comfort level that from a security and compliance standpoint, public cloud is something that I can trust with not only my application, but my customers' data as well. Whereas in other areas, other verticals, whether it's manufacturing, logistics, etc., or even horizontal marketing data, enterprises are saying, there's certain data that I can put on the cloud and be able to use the data, manipulate the data, and drive intelligent decision-making information without compromising security. So non-production, we're seeing marketing analytics, as well as we're seeing some enterprise application data and enterprise applications moving to the cloud.
So we have a think tank, an organization at Cognizant called the Center for the Future of Work, and they've published, 3 of my colleagues have recently published a book called Code Halos. It's about all that digital data that surround each of us, and even cars and automobiles and other products and organizations even. It's the data all about it that can be used to drive new kinds of business models. Are you seeing the impact of all this data driving trends in cloud computing?
Absolutely. So where cloud computing fits in for all these different types of data to drive, differentiated business models, drive, shortened time to market, is really as an enabler, right? So cloud enables an enterprise to serve their customers or for internal operation benefits in a very, very rapid manner, right? So they don't have to worry about going through standard IT processes and approvals and onboarding and installation and everything else. You literally, with the press of a few buttons, you can get an application provisioned, you can get a database installed, and the underlying operating system installed, configure it, and you're good to go in hours. which, Kevin, you and I have worked for multiple enterprises before. We know that's not the case when you're dealing with something that you want to do internally on premise.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I remember we would always want proof of concepts before we invested in some high price on-premise applications. But it seems like just to load up a new solution would take a week by itself just so you could do a proof of concept on somebody's software.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll give you a classic example, right? I mean, we just onboarded a new, a global retailer, and literally we onboarded their web-based applications, consumer-facing web-based applications, in less than 8 hours. Transitioned them from another provider to Cloud 360 on a public service provider, from a public service provider in less than 8 hours.
Wow!
And we took the downtime from hits that they used to get to their website and transitioned it, which is not possible when you're trying to change servers or upgrade servers within on-premise environment, right?
Wow, that's an incredibly short time relative to my previous experience as an IT manager. Absolutely. So, Adithya, let me ask another question. One of the buzzwords that everybody talks about is business agility. Correct. The ability to respond to changing market conditions at the snap of a fingers. Is that something that you believe is driving the interest in cloud computing? And if so, in what way does cloud computing support that interest in business agility?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it is driving a lot of interest for specific use cases, right? So if you look at a retailer, for example, regardless of whether you're online or offline, brick and mortar, there are certain seasonal spikes that retailers have, right? And they've got to be able to manage whether it's promotions, marketing, targeted offers, as well as normally e-commerce transactions, right? Mm-hmm. So in that case, if I'm a retailer, I wouldn't want to invest significant capital in building our infrastructure, right? Where I want to leverage cloud is this whole notion of cloud bursting, right? Even if I have a lot of my applications and data on premise, during seasonal spikes, I want to leverage the cloud, burst out the higher volume transactions based on different regions and geographic representation where I'm seeing spikes, and move that to the cloud. And then when Thanksgiving goes down or when Christmas shopping gets done, second week of January, scale back, move everything back to on-premise.
Wow, no, that truly is an agile type environment within the IT landscape.
Absolutely. And the beauty about that is you pay for what you consume, right? There is no upfront long-term contracts. There's no big significant capital investment. It's purely an operational expense utility model. I use it, I pay for it, I'm done.
The key to success in many industries is to innovate. And it's those ideas and those innovations and those internal incubators where you're incubating these ideas and seeing which ones work and which ones not. That is kind of a theme nowadays on how to be successful, is to always be driving for that innovation, whether through crowd computing environments or crowdsourcing environments for ideas, or even internal. How does cloud computing actually help the innovation process within a company?
Well, if you look at innovation, right? Previously, the whole notion of innovation was around people thinking, sitting in a lab environment and thinking and having an endless pot of money to just be thinkers, right? Now, innovation is all about applied innovation, right? Mm-hmm. They're talking about ultimately, how do I drive innovation to impact my bottom line to better serve my customers? So with that being in mind, to your point, Kevin, the point you made earlier about proof of concept, right? How do I try something in a quick manner without spending a lot of money, right? Prove it out and have the ability to scale. Or if I fail, come back, do my homework, refine, and go back and try again, right? Wow. So if you look at it from that standpoint, business leaders today are managing the innovation function or the business incubation or accelerated functions, the same way they manage P&Ls, right? It's not a cost center anymore. They're looking at it like P&L centers, right? Or how are you going to position our company to be different and relevant 3 years down the road, right?
Oh,
So
yeah, because it used to be you would have to invest so much money up front in order to even try an innovative new idea that just the ramp up cost would inhibit innovation.
absolutely, the ramp up cost, the appetite to take on that risk, if things don't work out. Whereas in a cloud environment, especially for a software and services and solutions business, it's beautiful. I mean, we're just going to market. I'll give you another classic example with an industrial products company, right? So it's not about managing their enterprise applications, but they have a cloud-based solution that they're taking to their customers, right? And they're trying it out. They've gotten good feedback. They've done their market research, done their market sizing and the segmentation, all the good stuff. But still, you want to tread carefully in terms of where do you put your investment dollars. So Cloud 360 is their cloud management platform. When they provision and bring on a new customer, our platform is the platform that's bringing the customer up, monitoring that environment for their customers, and doing, more importantly, the metering and the billing, right? Because Cloud 360, we do metering, so we know who's consuming how much, and then we do the appropriate cost transfers and billing for them.
It's interesting here, Adithya. I see a lot of similarities between rolling out multiple mobile applications and trying to manage the APIs on the back and manage the security for all these different apps, right, and try to do that at an enterprise level to, if you end up having all kinds of different cloud assets out there in different regions and markets and channels are all in different clouds, you need to secure those. You need to manage those. You need to know where your data is, where it's coming from, and how to charge back the use of various cloud services back to different business units and lines of business, etc. So I see a lot of similarities even to what's required in the enterprise mobility space.
Absolutely, because one of the things that CFOs are asking is, right, IT folks go back with budget requirements, 8% more than last year, etc. And IT for the most part is a cost center, right? Some companies are more progressive, they allocate the expenses and charge back for them, but majority are not. Whether you charge back your BUs or business groups that are consuming the service, you want to be able to at least meter it and show your leadership who's consuming what. So then you can justify either an increase in your spend or rationalize a decrease in spend by leveraging cloud.
So Adithya, do you think cloud computing simplifies the IT management or complicates it?
Absolutely simplifies it. In fact, if you look at what Cloud 360 does, right, the next evolution of I just laid out the multi-generation roadmap with our team. The whole notion of self-service IT is coming in around cloud, right? And what I mean is not desktop or help desk support, but from leveraging cloud. Today, if I want to provision an application in the cloud, I go to my help desk, create a ticket, right, for a virtual machine. Then I create a ticket for an application license, create a ticket to get a database, and then another ticket to get somebody in the back to install all this and set it up. Mm-hmm. Think about all the labor-intensive work that goes on. Now with the whole notion of self-service IT or software-defined data center, Cloud 360 is almost going to become like a marketplace or an exchange, where you and I, for example, can go, if you're trying to do something in marketing or analytics, you can go set up a virtual instance on a public service provider, cloud service provider, select what the data source is, select the application that you want to use for doing your analysis in about 20 minutes.
Wow.
Even going to IT. Right?
So I read a lot of analyst reports, and analysts are talking about all different kinds of cloud computing and cloud trends. I saw that IDC has recently had you guys listed there. What was that all about?
Well, I think if you look at the investment Cognizant, we as a company have made in the cloud infrastructure, right? I mean, not just from what we do from a platform or managed services, but in terms of the consulting practice, in terms of the transformation practice, in terms of the implementation practice. We, as a company, have really been kind of trendsetters in investing and helping our customers transform to the cloud, right? So we know it's a long journey. Customers are not going to lift and shift everything, right? I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. But it's got to be planned and done in a very disciplined manner. So our cloud consulting business, our cloud transformation business, have done numerous, consulting engagement, transformation strategies, as well as implementations for large enterprise customers. And the analysts are seeing it, the market's seeing it, and they realize that, hey, Cognizant is here to stay, and they're not talking about specific areas within cloud. They go end to end, all the way from initial thinking, when you're just spelling out the word cloud, to ultimately leveraging the cloud and then using it on a year-to-year basis to drive even more gains.
Got it. Because I think IDC had your team in the efforts around cloud computing in a top 5 list of some sort.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have the market leaders, the innovators. Absolutely right. Yeah. It was a big boost. We were really, really excited about it, and it's good to be recognized by industry-leading analysts, and
Very good. So, Adithya, if somebody is out there going to conferences, are there any upcoming conferences that if somebody wanted to sit down and speak with you, that they can meet you at?
Yeah. So there are a couple of conferences, Kevin. The first one that's coming up is one of our very close partners, Amazon Web Services. They have their reInvent conference in the second week of November in Las Vegas. We have a booth there, and we're also going to be present at our another partner, NetApp's booth at reInvent. So please stop by. We'd love to share our thoughts on where we think the industry is going. We'd love to hear from you, in terms of where you think the industry is going, and see if there's a way where we could exchange ideas and potentially have a deeper discussion.
Very good. Adithya, thank you so much for sharing your industry knowledge, insight, and technical understanding of the cloud industry. Thank you for sharing that all with us today.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to continued discussions.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.